I never question the fact that Republicans, Democrats, and independents love this country. Love this country. I never question it. But I have to say, when you start acting like you're committing domestic abuse, you've got a problem.
We got a problem, Houston. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. That's Senator Barbara Boxer on the floor of the Senate the other day, comparing the Republicans to domestic abusers, wife beaters. It just is insane. Joining us now to lend some sanity to it all is our friend, Washington Times columnist Charlie Hurt. Hello, Charles. How are you, sir? Hey, Charles.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Okay. Thank you very much.
Don't rely on me to lend any sanity to this because I'm all out. I've just completely run out.
Well, I know. Well, your column today, no need for lectures from a debt-saddled president, is very apropos to what I just saw. The lecture hasn't come from him. The arrogance hasn't come from him yet, although Jay Carney's
Just wait.
I know. Jay Carney's sly little smug smile, and but now I see that some anonymous White House aides are comparing, get this, Obama to JFK and the Cuban Missile Crisis. I wish I made that up. But you can't make that up.
No, you really can't. But these guys, they won't be able to, as you say, they won't be able to contain it. They are, aides on the Hill. And in the White House are just so excited about this. For them, this is a huge victory. And quite frankly, when you step back, it was a victory. Republicans should have gotten something more out of all of this. I would argue that, and we may disagree on some of this, but I would argue that they misplayed their hand in a lot of different ways. But the good news for Republicans is, or conservatives is, that this fight is only put off a little bit longer. It's going to come up again, and hopefully they will. Their strategy for the next time it comes up will wind up being a better strategy because this one did not work.
Well, maybe Obama could get them to disband as a party.
And you know what? I bet they would take that deal. They would jump at it, thinking that they were getting a good deal. But it's interesting to listen to. To listen to Democrats talk about this, especially on the floor, and the need to stop this insanity of always running up against the debt ceiling. What they're saying is that they just want they want to altogether remove the debt ceiling and just let debt run as high as they want. They just have an unlimited amount of money to hang on taxpayers and to enslave people with horrible, ill-thought-out welfare programs and government boondoggles and
right. Give them the credit card. Just give them the credit card. No limit.
Yeah. That's exactly what they want. And it's a shocking thing to think about because if you took any of these people out of this little environment, this little structure of power where they want more money, and you ask them if this was a good idea, not a single one of them would do this to one of their children if their children was addicted to drugs.
Not only that, Charlie. Let's go back a few years. Nancy Pelosi in 2004. We can't just give a blank check over and over again on raising the debt ceiling. Charlie Rangel 2004. The request sounds like a drunk going to a AAA meeting saying, "Just give me one more drink." Harry Reid 2006. Most Americans know that increasing debt is the last thing we should be doing. And good old Barack Obama in 2006, in addition to calling it unpatriotic, America has a debt problem and a failure of leadership. Americans deserve better. So they've magically turned around to wanting limitless debt ceilings.
Yeah, and it was back then it was what was it, a $7 trillion failure of leadership.
Now we're
Today,
10 more.
It's $17 trillion. I was trying to write out the number. I'm not sure how many zeros are required.
I'm not either. I'll have to ask my son. He could probably tell me. But billion. I mean, million is six. Is six.
I think it's 12. I think it's 9 or 12. No, 9 is
billion would be 9, so probably 12. Yeah.
It just goes on and on and on. But I guess when it gets that big, if it's 7, who cares if it's 17, big deal. There's no difference. But you know, your son and my sons and my daughter,
they're going to pay for it.
They'll know. They'll feel those zeros. They'll feel the difference.
Charles, go ahead.
But not only are they going to be paying it, but it will be in a diminished, a realm of diminished, a country of diminished opportunity. That not only will they be paying massive amounts just to keep all that going, but the tax rates will be such that they're just it will suck all the oxygen out of the economy, and they'll work for virtually nothing. It's so depressing to think about.
Well, it's the vision of America that our president has. Let me ask you about Republican leadership here. And you and I disagreed over Cruz a little bit, but Boehner issued a statement before, and people who have been listening to this show since the beginning have heard this 16 times already. But I'm sorry. Hopefully, I'll be able to let go of it a little bit as time goes on. But what Boehner should have said, not we fought the good fight and we lost. Now everybody vote for what Obama wants, which is what he said. I don't know if he cried or not, but he did get a standing ovation, which could have led to tears. But here's what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? Hey, America, yes, it appears that we lost because we're giving in. We are giving in. We're waving the white flag. And we're waving the white flag to save this country from a president who, unlike every other president in the last 25, 30 years, refuses to talk and negotiate and will not even give a quarter of an inch. So because we wanted in the end to delay the individual mandate or delay a medical device tax, which 75 senators are in favor of, and Obama said no. And he was willing, based on that, to let us suffer the financial consequences of default, making your lives miserable and the world miserable. Because we have that kind of president, yes, we waved the white flag. Instead, we fought the good fight. We lost. I mean, come on. Who runs this party?
Yeah, it's an excellent point. And the problem is that, John Boehner is a very good old political behind-the-scenes operator. He is good at, and he was good in the olden days when there was a lot of earmarks and you could sort of grease the skids and all the things that forever Congress has required in order to sort of get along. And that is not your normal, typical big visionary. And that's what he's lacking. And he's lacking exactly what you just said. And I would actually be a little careful. A lot of people on our side of things think that a guy like Boehner serves the purpose. I think actually when you have a group of politicians, it's a unique band of creatures. They require certain things, and they require stroking, and they require herding in order to get the 218 required to get a bill passed. I think a guy like Boehner can be very useful. But obviously, he is missing exactly the visionary that you're talking about because he doesn't see it in those terms. He sees it in terms of, well, we tried this maneuver and that maneuver and this maneuver and it didn't work. And it's sad. And it should be somebody that he has on his leadership team.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know how the Congress works far better than me. Of course, your brother, the congressman, and the whole thing. And I'm just saying. I know that we can't run a presidential campaign. I know that, for years, but in the new media age and how to fight back. I mean, Obama should have been easy with a fair media. There isn't a fair media, so you have to understand that. But something like this, when it became apparent you were going to lose, are there no advisors? Are there no people who think like you and me anywhere near these people?
Honestly, I think that's a big part of the problem. I really do. And I think that a lot of those people, and they claim to be conservatives, and they work for Republicans, and you know what? They were so relieved that the Vitter Amendment didn't wind up in the bill because it was going to be so difficult for their bosses to not vote for it because it just makes such plain common sense. And I don't think that thing is gone for good.
And that's asking the White House and the House and Senate to sign on to Obamacare.
That is forcing the White House and the staff and Congress and the staff into the very program they created for the rest of us.
Right.
That they are now basically.
Well, how about that as an argument then, Charlie? Forget the Medical Device Act. Say, all we wanted was the president and the Congress to fall under the same plan that you're now falling under, and the president, because of that, was willing to risk chaos, and that's why we did what we did. We surrendered for you. How difficult is that? It's common sense.
Well, and this is where this is why I sort of say that Boehner, the tactician, is. I think sometimes he doesn't get all the due that he deserves. That was basically the proposal that he floated last night in the House. It got killed. I understand that. I don't understand it because it was such a smart tactic. It should have gone through. But it's still he still lacks. The argument you just made, what you just said that he should have said after that conference meeting. That's how you win elections. That's how you win converts. That's how you win new people to your party, and it's how you win presidential elections. And
the PR war, right? And the PR. And Charlie, I'm like I said before to Alan West when he said, "Wow," I said, "I'm no genius, Alan." I said, "What's so complicated about this?" Yeah.
Well, you're right, and you can actually.
You mean I'm right? I'm not a genius? No, I'm kidding.
Like Ronald Reagan, you can just go. You can go over the media and around the media because Lord knows. I mean, all the. You think as bad as Obamacare rollout has been, when you look at the number of stories that have been written about Obamacare and the disaster that it is versus the stupid shutdown that I don't think anybody actually really felt. They're on equal footing. And perhaps there were even more shutdown stories. And so my only point is that as biased as the media is in that respect, if you're good at telling the story, if you're good at making your argument, you can go around them, and it's easier than ever before because you have talk radio, you have the internet. You have a lot more outlets now where conservatives can get their argument across.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. All right, so how long before the president and his smirk and his attitude comes and what? Now let me ask you this because I know what I think, and it's probably a rhetorical question between you and I. How long before the president starts trashing Republicans again? Because we only have a few, a couple of months or a few weeks, whatever this bill says, until we go through this again. Is he going to scold them from the get-go and say, you see, you can't do that with me. Don't do it again. Hostage taking, blah, blah, blah. How soon before all that starts?
He will not relent for 1 second. It will be a small, selfish, self-absorbed speech that he gives whenever he speaks on this. And what he is going to say is he will list the number of Republicans who still, based on their conscience and their obligation to their constituents, voted against this plan, and he will list that number, and have some sort of little stingy compliment for the other Republicans who did go along with it. But he won't give them. He will not give them the tiniest inch on this.
Now, let me give you one thought to leave with, Charles. We're talking to Charles Hurt, Washington Times columnist here on the Steve Malzberg Show. I was listening to the radio this morning. I think it was News Radio 88, CBS, the old news station here, one of the old news stations in New York, and I hear a commercial. They're attacking Michael Grimm. It's the DCCC, okay, the Democratic Congressional whatever. And they're going after Michael Grimm, the lone Republican in the New York City delegation. He represents Staten Island and parts of Brooklyn. And to me, he's, moderate to left Republican, okay? Former FBI agent, former military man. I admire him for that, but he's a little to the left for me. But so they were attacking him in the ad that he voted to shut down the government. This is today. And that he has gold-plated health insurance, and it doesn't have the same Obama. He's trying to take everybody's health care away, but he has gold-plated health care. He doesn't have to worry because he's privileged. Meanwhile, it's the Democrats who want to keep it that way. The whole thing is insane.
It's truly incredible. The amount, the depth of the lies that begin. And in the absence of somebody that's making the argument that you were making, in the absence of that, those lies stand up. And people follow them.
Yeah.
And until Republicans get their voice, or conservatives really get their voice. And Ted Cruz, I love the guy, but you've got to do better than that even.
Yeah.
In order to beat back this crowd. But let me one last thing. Talking about you were saying how long will Obama go before the smirk emerges? Well, let us also not forget, and I'm forgetting his name. You might remember there was that one Louisiana Republican who crossed the line and voted for Obamacare. Do you remember who that was?
Oh, in the House. No, I don't remember the name. Yes.
I can't remember his name, but he was the one Republican, and he was from a very Democratic-leaning district. He crossed the line and voted for Obamacare. That was in whatever year it was, at the very next election cycle, 2010, I believe it was. The very first ad that President Obama cut
was for his opponent, right?
Candidate was against him.
Yeah.
This guy does not play fair. He plays for keeps. He plays to kill.
Well, that's the whole thing. And you know what? Steve Rothman, who's no longer a congressman, he used to be my congressman. They redistricted. I have Scott Garrett, thank goodness. But Steve Rothman then ran against Bill Pascrell for the Democratic nomination to run against Shmuley Boteach. Anyway, and Steve Rothman, before anybody knew who Barack Obama was, came out and didn't go for Hillary, supported Barack Obama. He was his Jersey guy, the whole thing. So, of course, when pro-Israel Rothman ran against pro-Palestinian Pascrell for his political life, Barack Obama did nothing for Steve Rothman. I don't know if he campaigned openly for Pascrell, but he did not say one word of boo for Rothman. So this guy, we got him pegged.
It's all small party politics, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. Chicago street thug politician. So said Bill Clinton, not me, not you. All right, Charles. From one loser to another. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care. Charles Hurt, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, you want to weigh in? I see we have one person. We'll get to you. 877-NEWSMAX, 877-NEWSMAX, which is 639-7629, 639-7629 on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.